Okay, what was your professional career in?
I worked 25 years in a community college in Santa Clarita.
California?
Yes,
Say California?
yes, California,
Okay. Is that southern or northern?
Southern California.
What subjects were you teaching?
Taught math and computers. Well, I was still there. I'm retired now for at least 10 years, but when I was still there before I quit, it was starting to switch. It was starting to get more and more, I think, liberal with a huge bent towards going very, very super liberal.
Would conservatives get turned away from prospective hiring?
Certainly, the HR department was already doing DEI back then.
What does DEI stand for?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And thankfully, I would have left the minute anybody had tried to force me to teach anything about CRT. Just to let you know.
Critical race theory?
Yes.
What does critical race theory teach?
Critical race theory is to teach people that the whites have been in control for so long that they need to be knocked down a peg. Basically, that's the bottom line.
What does it teach about the makeup of society in terms of race and ethnicity?
Well, they don't want to understand that, for most people, race isn't even an issue in this country anymore.
Hasn't been.
Hasn't been for a long time. With the advent of Obama becoming president, it reawakened. And he opened up the divide and made the divide larger than it's ever been in our history.
What has the left done with that mentality?
Well, the hiring practices, especially in government, you see more and more elected officials like these people that are trying to, take down Trump right now. These people elevated themselves in positions in, I can quit if you want. Well, I've seen a big switch in everything that around us and everything that's going on, and I'm not happy about the direction that we're taking.
What does that mean for what's happening on the campuses throughout the Ivy League and here in Southern California?
I'm just flabbergasted, honestly, about what is taking place in this country amongst our youth right now. I don't know how anybody in good conscience could march for Hamas. They are completely 100% indoctrinated.
Indoctrinated with what? With which doctrine?
Well, most people don't understand that Qatar has put more money into universities and colleges in the United States than anybody else.
Isn't Qatar an Islamist, imperialist promoter?
Yes, of course. Seriously. Qatar. USA, all the way.
Pretty good ethnically mixed crowd.
Yes. And that's the thing that you will always see with conservatives. Conservatives, just don't have that mindset that we need to exclude people or, we need to divide people or anything else. It's, to me, that all comes from the left, and it all has to do with power. If you can keep the people divided, if you can keep the people at each other's throats, that gives you the ability to do anything that you want. And I'm seeing that in our government every day, every way.
Well, although you may not be a political scientist, do you understand what may be happening now throughout the West?
Certainly. The West is in decline. What a lot of people know is in the Arab culture, especially in Islam, the minute you let them in, the minute you give them a room, if you rent them a room, they own your house. You give them a foothold in a country, and the country's theirs. This is what they're taught. This is what their religion teaches.
Well, but don't Christians, I should say Christian nationalists, want to see Christianity be the law of the land in North America?
I don't think that Christians necessarily are political, and I don't think Christians are a political movement. Christians are a religious movement. Judaism is a religious movement. Christians and Jews actually appreciate peace. And peace is the absence of malice. If I don't have malice toward anybody, I have peace. If we had peace on earth, we would have no malice. Since 635 AD, when the religion of Islam was born, there's been nothing but turmoil on the planet since the advent of Islam. When people realize that, if these students that are marching for Hamas and marching for all this Palestinian movement and stuff like that realized that these people want to kill all the Jews first, but then they're coming for the Christians, then they would have a much better idea about what this religion is really about.
Well, is it only the Christians that they're seeking to dominate?
No, certainly the Jews.
No, but I mean, in terms of religion, or is it moreover a secular social power?
Anybody, they consider Christians and Jews infidels. They consider Hindus infidels. Anybody that doesn't believe the way they do is to be killed.
Or unless they convert.
Or be conscripted. You can pay money.
Converted, you mean?
No, not converted. Conscripted. You can pay them money and they will leave you alone, even in Arab countries.
Like extortion?
Yes. The Jews have been, that's the only way the Jews have existed in Islamic culture. All of these millions, of Jews that lived all over the world in Arab places that incidentally, after the advent of Israel becoming a state, they were all kicked out. Summarily, yes.
So, what do you think about what's happening on the campuses now with these encampments?
I think the reason they want to do the encampments is it also points up the homeless issue. They're trying to implant something else we got to feel bad about. That we can't put up a tent, that we don't have the rights to do this and this and this and this. I think it's all part and parcel of the same message.
A minute ago, you mentioned the notion of after the Jews, then they'll come for the Christians, but essentially, once we get past the religious identities. Is this an organization, and I mean who is ever organizing like they did in the 2020 election, the demonstrations in the streets, isn't this something that could cause a civil unrest affecting the society?
Well, certainly, and it all comes from the many mullahs all over, the world. The United Nations right now is just seriously nothing almost more than a Muslim mouthpiece. Because, why do you think they broke up into all of the Emirates and stuff like that? So they could have more countries, so they could take over the UN. And after they have pure power. Look at the Human Rights Council of the United Nations. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, all of these Arab countries
that have no women's rights.
Zero human rights. Women are subjugated in every one of their societies.
Right. And there's no freedoms to criticize the government.
Certainly not. And they're all, theocracies too. They aren't governments; they're theocracies.
So, what's your expectation for this coming the next 5 months of the election season?
Well, I'm hoping that people will wake up and get a sense of I don't know anybody Like, I go to the market right now, I get 3 bags of groceries, and it's already $100. Everybody's got, across this whole nation, has to be feeling this pinch. I can't be the only one. I'm retired, I'm on a fixed income, and, trying to make ends meet. And I do better than a lot of people. I have a good pension, so.
But the price of things, Democrats seem to think that they could pin that on the Trump presidency, and the Democrats are not doing this intentionally.
Oh no, Democrats love to shift blame. 80% of their existence is shifting blame, and if Trump was responsible for the border, how could that be, since when Trump was in office, the border was secure, more than it's ever been. Obama, when he was in office, was sending people back over the border, and then, in his last year, because he knew he was going to be reelected again, then he did DACA. A lot of people don't realize that 3 months before he left office, he had the FCC change all the regulations for news that it could become purely commentary. So there are no real news anywhere in the United States anymore. There's just people doing commentary. That's why you got the mainstream media taking over. You can listen to 12 different stations of mainstream media. They'll have the exact same jargon, the exact same soundbite, repeated and repeated and repeated. That's what's happening to this United States at the moment. They are being indoctrinated purely and fully and wholly.